This is my review of Currency's fourth mixtape, Independence Day, released on February 1st, 2008. This is the first of 7 mixtapes Currency released in 2008. He's claiming his independence from Young Money. Let's get started with this track-by-track breakdown. The first track, Soul Man, uses a sample from A Tribe Called Quest's second studio album, The Low End Theory. Currency's flow here is top-notch, and you can tell by the hook that this is pretty obviously a diss towards Young Money. Currency does a great impression of Q-Tip, and I have to give this the highest rating. It's a great track and one of the best on the mixtape, and I highly recommend everyone check this one out. The second track, She On My Mind, has a really funny intro. Currency raps about his girl troubles and has a little story for us at the end of it. Not many rappers can do what Currency does with this track. He slows the tempo down and makes the hook really catchy, making this an above average track. Track 3, Your Direction, uses a beat with an electronic sounding chorus that isn't exactly necessary, but the beat is good enough by itself, and Currency's rap and his hook on this make up for it. He has a very good verse here, and I'm giving this an above average rating. Track 4, The Dopest, is a song that grew on me over time. I really like the beat, and the hook I think is just okay, but he makes up for it with his verses here. I think he kills it. He shows off his swagger and his style, and he does a really good job here, and I'm giving this an above average rating. Track 5, Airplane, uses a really hard beat. Currency's verses here are pretty good, but I'm not a big fan of the repetitive hook here, and the beat doesn't really do it for me. I'm giving this an average rating. Track 6, Chauffeur Music, uses a sample from Clips' debut studio album, Lord Willin'. Currency has a really good verse here, and the hook is catchy, and the beat's really good. I'm giving this an above average rating. Track 7, Raps and Hustles, featuring Fiend, uses a sample from Camp Lo's track, Coolie High, from the Great White Hype soundtrack. Currency has a really nice verse here on this chill beat, and Fiend also does a good job. I'd give this an above average rating. Track 8, Bail, uses a sample from Ghostface Killah's second studio album, Supreme Clientele. Currency does a great job on this awesome beat. He has a really impressive verse here, and I'd give this an above average rating. Track 9, Looking Down on My City, featuring Mr. Marcello, uses a bass heavy beat. Currency and Mr. Marcello's verses here are just okay, along with the hook. The beat is just okay, and I give this an average rating. Track 10, Cell Phone Troubles, uses a sample from Havoc's debut studio album, The Kush. It's a decent beat, and Currency has an okay verse here. I'm giving this an average rating. Track 11, Flyer Than the Average, featuring Trademark the Skydiver and Young Roddy. Young Roddy only has a 25-second verse here, and he's not listed as a feature. It's a pretty good beat, and Trademark is on the hook here, and it's basically his song. I'm giving this an average rating. Track 12, Passport Sports, features Joey Queens and Trademark the Skydiver, and it's a sample from Jay Mill's track, You Can't Tell Me Nothing. I originally had Young Roddy as the feature, and that's what it says in the original track listing, but it is in fact Trademark the Skydiver, so I had to make a little edit on that. It's an awesome beat, and they all have really good verses on this, and I'm giving it an above average rating. Track 13, Paternity Test, uses a sample from Real Talk, the third studio album by Fabulous. Currency is the suspected father of Judy Jetson's baby, and he's called onto The Maury Show to give a paternity test. This track is both suspenseful and hilarious, and the payoff is brilliant, and I have to give this the highest rating. Track 14, 100 Grand, featuring Joey Queens, is a bass-heavy beat. The verses on this are decent, and Currency's flow here is pretty good, but it's just an okay track overall, and I'd give it an average rating. Track 15, Reagan Era, uses a sample from Lloyd Banks' debut studio album, The Hunger for More. This is the definition of vintage Currency, and it's one of his all-time best tracks. The beat is really hard, and Currency's flow here is incredible, and I have to give this the highest rating. I recommend everyone check this out. Track 16, Full of Money, uses a quick bass beat. Currency's verse here goes from 0 to 100 as he just keeps on rapping and rapping, and he incorporates the hook into his verse and it flows perfectly. And I'm not the biggest fan of this beat, but I have to give him props for this verse here, and I have to give this an above average rating. Track 17, What Do You Know, is a sample from Kanye West's track Flashing Lights from his third studio album Graduation. Currency has a really nice verse here on this In and Out. The hook is really catchy and the beat is great, and I'm giving this an above average rating. Track 18, The Anti-Club, featuring Trademark the Skydiver, uses a sample from Jay-Z's 10th studio album American Gangster. Currency and Trademark's verses are really good on this, and I'm giving it an above average rating. Track 19, Free Lunch, featuring Joey Queens and Young Roddy. Roddy isn't originally listed on this track, but I added him. It's an okay beat, and their verses here are decent, and I'm giving this an average rating. Track 20, Flight Risk, featuring FS Jets, uses a really hard beat, and I feel it's a sample from something, but I couldn't pin down a source to where it came from. It's an awesome beat, and Young Roddy, Street Wiz, Trademark, and Currency have verses on this track. They do a pretty good job here on their verses, but certainly not their best. I'm giving this an average rating. Track 21, Props to the Tribe, featuring Young Roddy, uses a sample from The Roots' third studio album, Things Fall Apart. I do like the beat selection here, and Currency and Roddy do a nice job on their verses, but I think it's on Currency's verse where there's some scratching in the background. I don't know if it's for the beat originally or if they added it separate, but it's a little bit distracting. I do like the chorus and the beat. I think it's really catchy and it adds to the track, but I'm going to give this an average rating. Track 22, Animal, uses a sample from AZ's 6th studio album, The Format. I think it's just an okay beat, and Currency's rap here is just okay as well, and I'm giving this an average rating. Track 23, All About Dollars, featuring Droopy and Street Wiz, uses a sample from Young Buck's second studio album, Buck the World. Currency ends the tape on this really chill beat, and they all have really good verses here, and I have to give this an above average rating. Currency collaborates with Trademark the Skydiver and Young Roddy many times on this tape, and we're going to be hearing a lot more from them in the future. The samples on this tape are very good. However, I do like the samples on Life at 30,000 Feet slightly more. Currency brings enough energy and versatility to these tracks that he makes some classics, and some of his best work to date is on this mixtape. I'll give Independence Day a 4 out of 5. I'll leave a link in the description to a YouTube playlist so you can check this mixtape out for yourself. Let me know what you think in the comments. Feel free to drop a like and hit the subscribe button. Next up, Currency takes us higher than 30,000 feet, and I hope to catch you on the next review. Thanks for watching.
That is not my BABY. Not my BABY.